Let me teach you the concept of stoichiometry. The word stoichiometry was first used by a German chemist called Jeremiah Reuters. It is driven from two words, stoichion, which means elements, and metron, which means measure. So stoichiometry can simply be defined as the calculation of products and reactants in a given chemical reaction. The calculation of products and reactants in a given chemical reaction. Basically, it deals with number. So, in a reaction or a chemical equation, A plus B to form C plus D, we have, in this equation, we can get the number of moles of reactants from the reactant side, which is the left-hand side, and the number of moles of product from the product side. So this is all what stoichiometry is all about. Let's look at the concept of coefficients in a chemical reaction. If it's the first time on this channel, before we continue, click the subscribe button. In a reaction such as H2 plus O2 to form H2O. Let's balance this equation. On the left, we have one atom of oxygen, two atoms, and on the right, we have one. So we'll balance it by 2. We'll also balance hydrogen. On the right, we have 4 atoms of hydrogen, and on the left, we have 2. So we'll balance it by what? Writing 2. And in this way, the equation is balanced because we have 4 hydrogen on the left, 4 on the right, 2 on the left, 2 on the right. Now, in this equation, on hydrogen, the coefficient of hydrogen is 2. The coefficient of oxygen also is 1. Anytime you see that there is no number written, it denotes that the coefficient is 1 in any equation. And that for H2O, which is water, is what? 2. We can derive 3 main variables that are related to coefficient from a chemical equation. So let's group them as A, B, C. First is going to be amount of substance. So from the equation, we have 3 substances. We have 2H2, O2, and 2H2O. The amount of H2 is what? 2 moles. The amount of O2 is 1 mole. And the amount of H2O is 2 moles. Secondly, we can get the ratio of reactants to products. From the equation we can have the ratio of hydrogen ratio oxygen to that of water. And in that case, what are the ratios? We have 2 moles of hydrogen ratio 1 mole of oxygen ratio 2 moles of water. These are the ratio in which they combine. That means anytime 2 hydrogen combine, 1 oxygen will react to form 2 moles of water. Another concept that we can derive is what? The number of molecules. So for 2H2, O2, and H2O, from this equation we know that we have 2 molecules of H2, 1 molecule of oxygen, and 2 molecules of water. All this we get from the coefficient of the chemical reaction. So from this, we can say that we can measure the amount of a substance from a given coefficient of a chemical reaction, the ratio of reactants to products, and the number of molecules can be deduced from the coefficients of reactants and products. Let's look at an example. How can you make 8 molecules of water? The equation is 2H2 plus O2 give you 2H2O. That is the balance equation. From this equation, we know that 2 moles of water reacts with 1 mole of oxygen to form 2 moles of water, 2 moles of hydrogen rather. So if you multiply these moles by 4, the number of moles of water by 4, that of oxygen by 4, and that of hydrogen by 4, we are going to get 8 moles, 8 molecules of water, 4, and 4 times 2 here will give you 8. So that implies that 8 molecules of hydrogen will react with 4 molecules of oxygen to form 8 molecules of water. So this is what is needed for you to form 8 molecules of water. Before we continue, if it's your first time on the channel, please click on the subscribe button. All right, let's look at mole to mole conversion. How many moles of oxygen gas is needed to react with 27 moles of hydrogen gas to form water, H2O? So we are looking at what the relationship between what? Oxygen gas and hydrogen. Let's look at the balance equation. H2 plus O2 form H2O. And we have 2 hydrogen on the left, 2 hydrogen on this side and 2 on this side. Will balance the hydrogen atom and we'll get 4, 4. Now we need to balance. Let's get the mole ratio. 2 hydrogen reacts with 2 moles of hydrogen reacts with 1 mole to form 2 moles of water. That is the mole ratio. Now we are given 27 moles of hydrogen, and we're looking for how many moles of oxygen will be needed to form water. If we cross multiply, we're going to have 2 times x will give you 27 times 1. Divide both sides by 2. X will be equals to 27 divided by 2. And x will be equals to 13.5 moles. If you find this valuable before we continue, click the subscribe button. Another example. How many moles of sulfur trioxide will form when 8.4 moles of sulfur dioxide react with oxygen? So we're looking at the relationship between sulfur trioxide and sulfur dioxide. So the equation of the reaction, SO2 plus O2 form SO3. Let's balance the equation. We're going to get 2SO2 and 2SO3. The equation is now balanced because we have 2 sulfur on the left, 2 sulfur on the right, 6 oxygen on the left and 6 on the right. Now the mole ratio would have 2 moles of sulfur dioxide react with 1 mole of oxygen to form 2 moles of sulfur trioxide. The question is, how many moles of sulfur trioxide will form when 8.4 moles of SO2 react? So we have 8.4 here, we are looking for x. If you cross multiply, we are going to have 2 times x equals to 8.4 times 2. So x will be equals to 8.4 times 2 divided by what? 2. And x will be equals to 8.4 moles. So the number of moles of sulfur trioxide that will form when 8.4 moles of sulfur dioxide react with oxygen is equals to 8.4 moles. Now let's look at mole to mass conversion. What mass of carbon will be formed when 4 moles of propane react with oxygen? We'll write the equation for the reaction. We have C3H8 plus O2 forms CO2 plus H2O. Balance the equation. We have 3 carbon on the right, so we'll balance it by writing 3 on the right. No, 3 on the left, so we'll balance by 3 on the left. We have 8 hydrogen on the left, so we'll balance H2 by writing 4 and we'll get 8 hydrogen on the right. Now on the right we have 10 hydrogen atoms, so we'll balance by writing 5 in front of oxygen and we'll get a balanced equation as this. Now from the balanced equation, 1 mole of propane will react with 3 times the molar mass of carbon. Now let's get the molar mass of carbon. CO2 will be equals to C plus 2O. And this will give us 12 plus 2 into 16, and that will be 44 grams. So that means that 3 times 44 grams is equals to 132 grams. So it implies that 4 moles of propane will react with S grams. If you cross multiply, you get 1 times X equals to 4 times 132. And X will be equals to 528 grams. Therefore, the mass. Let's look at grams to mole conversion. How many moles of hydrogen are needed to react with 6 grams of nitrogen to produce ammonia? I'll write the equation for the reaction. We have N2 reacting with H2 to form NH3. We'll balance the equation by writing 3 in front of H2 and 2 in front of NH3. The hydrogen is balanced and the ammonia and the nitrogen is also balanced. So from the equation, we know that 28 grams of nitrogen, if you find the molar mass of nitrogen, 14 times 2 is 28, reacts with 3 moles of hydrogen. This implies that 6 grams will react with unknown mass, which is unknown number of mole, which is X. So if you cross multiply, I have 28 times X will be equals to 6 times 3. Divide through by 3 and make S subject of formula. So you're going to have 18 divided by 28, and X will be equals to 0.6 moles. Therefore, the number of moles will be what? 0.64 moles. Are you following? If it's your first time, do not forget to subscribe, like. Let's look at mass to mass conversion. What mass of oxygen gas will react with 10 grams of hydrogen gas to form water, H2O? So we'll write the balance equation. I'm going to have H2 plus O2 will form H2O. So we'll balance this equation as usual. Balance the number of oxygen atom and hydrogen atom by writing 2 in front of H2O. The oxygen is balanced. I'll have to balance the hydrogen. I'll have 2 hydrogen. So on the left we have 4 atoms of hydrogen, on the right 4 atoms. We have 2 atoms of oxygen on the left and on the right 2 atoms, and the equation is said to be balanced. Now let's get the mole ratio. 2 moles of hydrogen will react with 1 mole of oxygen. Now let's get the molar mass of hydrogen, which is 2 grams, and that of oxygen is what? 16 grams. So it means anytime 2 moles of oxygen react, 1 mole of oxygen will react. It means that anytime 8 grams of hydrogen react, 16 grams of oxygen will react. Anytime 4 grams of hydrogen react, 16 grams of oxygen will react. So when 10 grams of hydrogen reacts, S gram of oxygen will be formed. So we're going to have 4 times X will be equals to 16 times 10. So that X will be equals to 160 divided by 4. And X will be equals to 40 grams. And that is the quantity of oxygen that will react with what? 10 grams of hydrogen. If it's your first time on this channel, do not forget to subscribe. Please like, share,